Hello, everyone, and welcome to ISC2 chapter. So my name is Anna Fukushima. I'm the secretary of ISC2 chapter. I will talk about our ISC2 and our chapter, and then I will introduce our speaker. So ISC2 is the world's leading cybersecurity and IT security professional organization with more than 140K chapters in the world. And more than 140K certified members and more than 140 chapters around the world. ISC2 chapter is the official chapter of ISC2, and it's part of the International Nonprofit Membership Association, focused on inspiring and a safe and secure cyber world, best known for the acclaimed certification CISP, and offers a portfolio of credentials that are part of a holistic programmatic approach to cybersecurity. This is our team, Victoria, our president, and the directors that support the chapter, including me. Our next chapter event is on June 24, the estimate date. And you can check our social links and also our chapter website to learn more about the meetings. We always try to bring an exciting speaker to speak about what's happening about cybersecurity in the world. And today, I'm really happy to introduce you to our speaker, Paula Januszkiewicz. Paula is a Cloud and Data Center Manager Microsoft MVP. She's the Microsoft Regional Director for CEE/MCT. She is the cybersecurity expert and penetration tester. She's also the CEO of Secure and CQUREAcademy that has customers all around the world. Welcome, Paula.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you for the really nice introduction, and absolutely a pleasure to be here and had a chance to take a little bit of your precious time and deliver a presentation. So yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, there's nothing more to say. So basically, just a couple of words and then we can move forward. Basically, I do not work for Microsoft, so this is what you guys, I guess, know. I'm the CEO of Secure and cybersecurity company, but I'm quite close with Microsoft because of the MVP and regional director title. And as well, I got access to the source code of Windows. Sounds awesome, but it's not like 100%. It's like 99.9% because there is still lots of research that I need to do together with the team in order to move forward. And when we look at the background, my team's background and my background in cybersecurity, I am in the business for the past 15 years, pretty much doing only that. That's my hobby, passion, and work at the same time. And in our team, we've got over 40 people doing R&D, pen testing, and consulting projects, and we've got trainings, and we are placed in 4 locations. So Warsaw, Poland, this is where my home is, and this is where I am actually right now. You can see I'm at home. And also New York and Dubai and Switzerland. So just these 4 locations, but the team isn't very big too, but we do lots of stuff in cyber. So anyway, today we're going to talk about aspects of the industry, and that is a very interesting subject because every single time we do pen tests, not only when we are at the customer sites, but also, especially right now, we do them remotely. We still do see the same problems, the same mistakes, and the same issues, and that is a quite an interesting thing to talk about because there are a series of attacks that we all need to know about. And at the end know how to prevent them. So let me share with you a couple of thoughts, first with statistics. And I've got interesting statistics actually that I really like to quote from the last year. And the reason why it's from the last year is because it's a prediction basically of what was supposed to happen at the end of 2019. And that statistics, if you look at the slide, is that this is actually from Financial Times, that according to the stats, by 2019, the market will need 6 million cybersecurity professionals, but with the current growth, we need from 4 to 5 million. And the funny fact about that is that, of course, time that we have right now is quite special, but question is it really something that has changed? Do you guys see the problems that are related with hiring a talent in cybersecurity? Because when I look at it from my perspective, as a person who actually hires talents, this is basically what I totally see. And of course, question is, why do we have such situation? And that situation, that statistic, in a very interesting way, reflects of what's happening in organizations. So for example, this is why we are able to deliver different types of attacks, as we call them, of the industry, because we've got, for example, things that not only sometimes are misconfigured, but sometimes we don't have resources to, for example, deliver internal pen tests to verify if all of our solution services are up to date. So the concept basically of something that we call by definition as shadow IT. Different types of solutions sometimes introduced to the field just like that, because we don't have to go through some kind of a procedure to approve the project. It's just a tiny project, but at the same time it exposes a bunch of systems in infrastructure, and here we go, we are able to get in. So this is basically what we are dealing with. And I could give you over here gazillions of examples. For example, from the last year when I was doing a big pen test for oil and gas company, a quite surprising fact for me was that even though they had IT department, they didn't do solutions or attacks like password spraying, which sounds absolutely trivial, but at the same time, that is the problem that is in lots of different organizations. And what is this? For example, that particular company was 6 million, not 6 million, but 6,000 users, so 5,900 something. And what I did, basically, I used the company name, and at the end, I just added 2019, so completely not a big deal. And with the script in a PowerShell, with the password spray, I was able to try to log on to Outlook Web Access, which basically at that time they didn't have multi-factor authentication, and I was able to probe that password across many different people. And out of that group, so pretty much 5,900 people, there was approximately 20, 29, 28, something like this, people that actually had that password. So interesting fact later is that you can log on, of course, as someone to this person's mailbox, and then you are able to move forward and send someone a phishing email containing an Excel spreadsheet. That's what I would like to show you today. That is basically pre-crafted so that someone will open it, something's going to happen, but then it's not really a phishing email, right? Because you are actually sending that type of message from the trusted person. So all of these trainings about security awareness, even though they are absolutely important, they are not working really here because the context is there, the person is there, it's not a phishing email, I'm going to open it. So here is the problem. So that is a fantastic point of entry to organizations that, for example, do not have a multi-factor authentication introduced. Now, whenever we look at where and why these attacks come from, basically we've got three aspects that we should take into consideration. One is awareness, another one is behavior, and another one is culture. Now, the reason why we are presenting it this way is because these three factors pretty much impact each other. Now, let me share with you a quick but my favorite story that is related with the attacks of the industry before we really get into technical demonstrations. So at one of the customer sites, actually this was in Switzerland, we had a project that involved a couple of things, basically like external, internal pen tests and so on. But one of the things it's supposed to start with was a social engineering test. And social engineering test, it's something that has a really nice name, but for real, I actually call it lying to people, because eventually you have to present yourself as someone else in order to get access somewhere. And it's not a very I would say comfortable project, but in our team there are two people that are actually doing these projects, and that's my colleague and myself. And my job was to get access to the building where the customer was, and I know that customer was actually like spread across like 3 floors. So there was let's say floor 5, 6, 7, whatever. And my job was to get to the floor where I'm able to get some information. So that was in general to prove the point. So question is, how am I getting actually to that place? So on the building, the customer was announced. There was like a way to open the door, that they were announced that they are actually on the floor 7. But I knew that they're also on a 6th and on a 5th. So basically, I'm not gonna call them because they're gonna see me in the camera just in front of the door downstairs. I'm not gonna like use the card because I don't have it. I don't have a pin because there was also like a pin pad. So basically, I have no way to enter. So I did something super easy that we call normally tailgating. So I found there was actually some nice guy coming through the door, and I stick to his back. And you might be like, is it really ethical? Of course, it's not ethical, but that is basically what we are agreeing on when we are performing the project. Yeah? So here we go. It has never been ethical, of course. But of course, it also depends how you look at this. But this guy turned around, and then you kind of like, so there's a couple of techniques that we can introduce, but I kind of like laughed, like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to, apologies, because I was like so close, like pretty much I stick to his back. And the funny part was that when you do it like this, when you behave like, oh yeah, no problem, then like people usually like do not remember you. So my goal was in general to kind of like put the whole energy down so that he doesn't really pay attention to any other details that I actually went through without a card. So that was fine. And then I'm in the elevator area, and there are 2 elevators, elevator A and B. And it wasn't a very big building, but these 2 elevators, they work like this, so that you have to put a floor number in front of the elevator on the like a pin pad, and then it shows you with the arrow whether it's A or B. You don't press the floor inside. Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm waiting, of course, for someone to come over and press the floor, and I'm actually quite lucky because there is another handsome guy, and of course I'm not kidding over here. That was the situation, so I was like, yes, at least this is something that I've got from the project. But there was this guy, and I can see like by looking at what he's doing that he's actually pressing a floor 5. So this is good because I'm able to go with him to the elevator. But what happens is that the door is opening, and then I run to the super back side of the elevator, and then he comes in, the door is closing, and then if you wonder like why did I do it, there's of course a couple of things. So think about it. Why did I actually run to the back side of the elevator? What was my goal? Because this is actually quite a predefined activity that I'm doing over here. So one of the things could be that maybe I could just hide behind his back because there is a camera somewhere. Another thing could be that whenever, for example, he's using his phone, I could at the same time look at what's doing. A couple of things I could try to get his pin or whatever, but my real goal was that actually when we get to the 5th floor, what happened. Yeah, so here's the thing. I started in the elevator the conversation first. So we were like downstairs. And I'm like, hi, how is it going? And he's like, fine, how are you doing? And yep, I'm good, I'm good. And I say, hey, it's nice to see you again. And this guy has never seen me before, of course. So you can totally see by his face that he is trying to figure out like what was the last time I've seen her, and there isn't no way, but he replies back, nice to see you again too. So I'm thinking, liar, but at the same time, the way how he replied is actually quite cool, because it means that he got it. He definitely is in, because there was like a little bit of a smile exchange and so on. So that kind of um, funny atmosphere. So I decided, seeing that he's actually in, to put that further. And don't get me wrong, that was of course also predefined. So what I did, I said, you know what? And he's like, what? And I said, you smell very well. And I can like, this is like, oh yes. So this is a very interesting way to have the conversation. But at the same time, he was like, do you think so? And I'm like, yeah. And this is the moment we're actually getting to the 5th floor. So what is this guy doing? Even though like you might think it's quite brutal, it doesn't really matter, because my goal was to get access to information from that company. Yes, so it is brutal, and I completely agree. But everybody could be a victim of something like that, and it wasn't very difficult. So what he does, he comes out first from the elevator, he uses his card, he opens the door, and he says, ladies first, with this voice. And I'm like, oh, great, thank you so much. Yep, see you later. And I'm in. And I'm at the trader's floor because it's a financial company. So this is quite an interesting setup, because now I can go around, like check what are people doing, and because it's a trader's floor that I was in, when they finish like their transactions, they get like lots of screens and so on. They literally like they were like working in a team. They stood up and then went out. They went out. And whether it was for lunch or for coffee, it doesn't really matter, because I need only like a minute maybe to manage to get access into someone's computer when they obviously do not lock it. We could be thinking, well, then it doesn't matter. Well, it matters, because in this organization, and that's what I'm putting awareness, behavior, and culture slide here. In this organization, these guys said that, hey, security cares about you. We lock your desktop after 5 minutes of your inactivity. Now, is it good or bad? What do you guys think? Because I personally think it's not good. And it really depends on the culture of the organization. But when there is this 5 minutes time, for some of the people, it's a lot. And for some of them, it's not. So it's like, oh, it's just 5 minutes of like my time. I'm not going to lock it or whatever. Nothing's going to happen. It's just 5 minutes. And when the organizations say it's 15 minutes, then I'm thinking, ooh, 15 minutes, it's quite a lot of time. Then everybody would think that 15 minutes is actually quite a lot of time if they are security aware. So basically, in such case, they're gonna lock the desktop. So the reason why they actually didn't, because we actually asked them later, was it because there is this, it is gonna lock itself in the moment anyway. So that was the point. Now, what did I do? What I did, actually, I played with the pen drive that looks like this, and it's gonna be my first demonstration. And this is something that we call DigiSpark, and I programmed it. And eventually, what it did, it copied the data from one of the guys' computers. Funny part was that when I like came in, I stick it in because that's really the only thing you need to do, and then you leave, goodbye. But because I like to provoke these situations a little bit, I was sitting there for a while waiting for someone to actually come over and ask me, what am I doing over here? What do you think happened? Nothing happened. And I'm doing this for that past 15 years. And I had only like one real situation when someone was completely doubting in my actions. So someone came in and doubted. So this is great. But any other situations, I managed to walk free. So let's summarize and let me show you how that works. So first of all, we've got awareness that comes with experience. So the more we are able to recognize situations, yes, the more we're able to act. And here we've got behavior that comes with awareness. So first of all, we recognize the situation, and the second thing, we know what to do. Yes, so we know how to react, how to eventually escalate the problem, and at the end, culture that comes with understanding. That means that within the organization, we've got a certain cybersecurity culture that's uber important, and then eventually that affects how we approach a certain type of information. So fantastic. Let's have a look at the first warming up demonstration before we get into some other techie stuff. So what do we got? First of all, when I'm like waiting as a hacker basically within the machine, let me start it. Then if someone comes in with that kind of a device, then basically we'll be able to perform different types of activities. So this is the hacker's machine, as you can see right now on the screen. And what I'm going to do with this device, I'm going to plug it in into my USB drive. So let me do it right now, and I'm gonna be the target today. And what it's gonna do is gonna actually connect back to the hacker, so that later hacker has complete control over the target's computer. So the funny part about that is that recognized by antivirus? And answer is no, because this is our library. Here we go. You can see right now that on the screen we've got the shell established, and at the end we can check who am I, and that's it. I'm Paula. Okay, great. So can I set up something that will allow me to move forward and control the client's computer? Absolutely. Let's have a look. So this is the library that I'm gonna inject over here. So it's just a PowerShell library. So let's do it. So I'm gonna just paste it. Here we go. This is done. Okay. And the next part that we're gonna do, I will basically start to control that machine by playing with, so let me take this off, playing with basically the different like scripts that I've got over here. Yeah. So this is the setup. Now let's see what we can do. For example, yeah. With what kind of options do we have? First of all, we've got a possibility here. So to specify to set up the get screenshot. So let me actually run that. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna do that, and in the moment you're gonna see what happens. So we've got a get screenshot taken. Fantastic. And over here I get a website where if I go to uploads, I can see that there is a screenshot taken, and this is this one from right now, and that is basically me delivering a presentation right now. So we've got a full control over someone's computer. Now another part, let me just leave this website here, will be to impact someone's camera. So even though this is quite a predictable thing, because that's why we've got all these stickers on the camera, then let's give it a try. So here we go. F5, we can check it, and eventually, for some reason, it is actually green, so we can try it again. It did not execute properly, but anyway, we could of course give it a try. I have also a backup option so that you will see basically the backup. Yeah. Oh, okay. No image. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Now, what else? We've got as well things like the possibility to perform the key logging. Yes. And if we play with this one, then basically this is also quite interesting, because if we do get key recording, it will record every single thing that I'm actually typing here. So let's give it a try. Start key recording. Okay. And anything I type in here, so I just type test, and I'm gonna start Notepad, and over here test or whatever we're gonna type over here, then we can see basically that this has been here recorded. Yeah, so this is also pretty nice. Now another part would be actually to think about all these solutions where, for example, we've got a possibility to control someone's clipboard. And that's the same thing over here. That clipboard is basically accessed by users. So you don't have to be an admin to perform that activity. You can monitor or replace someone's clipboard if, for example, there's a certain pattern that appears in the clipboard. So what we mean, of course, over here, it's a situation where we've got invoice to be paid. And when there's an invoice to be paid, we can replace certain copy of the account. So if someone is working in a finance department, then we do the copy of the account, and then basically we find it and then replace it, and then maybe transfer is made somewhere else. Of course, it depends on the banking systems. Not everywhere it will be possible, but it is also an option. Okay, guys, so we got that. Now, is there any other like situation that is worth having a look at? Absolutely. So what we can do, we can as well play with someone's passwords. And the question is how that would happen. So when we think about the complexity of solutions, what I've prepared for you, and that is on, or these are the attacks of the industry, is 7 security issues that should just not happen. Now, let's talk about them. First of all, whenever we think about these situations, the first issue I would say would be a pathetic password. And even though it sounds quite simple, let me tell you, of course, what do I mean by this? First of all, password share. So whenever we've got a certain account on Facebook, we shouldn't have the same password on LinkedIn, and that's clear. For that, we can use different types of password generators. We can secure it, for example, with the certain cryptographic service provider on the USB drive. So that is quite an easy thing to do. Now, when we think about that, what else is important over here? Well, that is clearly the possibility to store passwords in various places within the operating system. And this is something that I would like to show you. So I'm going to take that machine and show you that. So in general, all the situations where we are actually sharing passwords with the others. And this is happening where we've got, for example, services misconfigured. And what I mean by this is that kind of example over here. So I've got over here very important service, TENA SRE. It's working on as Freddy Krueger. And long story short, what is interesting is that the moment we actually specify the password over here, so I'm just going to overwrite it. It doesn't really matter, but the moment you just do apply, regardless this message, because this is really about the identity of the process, then what happens is that the password is stored somewhere. And it's always like that, whether it's a password, password's hash, and so on. We're going to talk about it more in this presentation, but let's warm up a little bit. So where is this password actually stored, and how is it stored? An answer to that is very straightforward. This is something, by the way, that we call a system secret. So we've got obviously user secret and system secret. And that system secret is protected indirectly by something that in operating system we call a boot key. And boot key is the key that I'm going to just simply maybe display. That will be the nicest. That is unique per every system, but it's stored in a registry in the system hive, and you cannot like just go to the regedit and read it. Absolutely no. But what you can do, you can actually read it from the class names of certain registry keys. And actually, what are those keys? I'll tell you in a moment, but first let's see how this particular key looks like. So I'm going to get into tools, and then we've got over here CQ secrets damper boot key. This is our Teams tool, by the way. It's free. All of our tools are free. You can download that from our blog. I'll share with you the link at the end of this presentation. So we've got a CQ secrets damper, .exe/boot key, and that key looks like this. Not very exciting, right? But anyway, if we go to regedit, we've got system, we've got current control set, control, and we've got LSA. And boot key consists of class names not really visible through regedit, so you need to get there through API. And that is basically data, JBG, this one, JD, and SKU1. And this is really what makes a boot key. Why everybody cares about this? Because this is what all of the system secrets rely on, including service accounts passwords. So absolutely important thing to know. This is one of the reasons why we should manage administrative access to workstations and servers which is absolutely clear, I know, but there are so many reasons to give why that should happen, and that is actually one of the reasons. Let's see the issue then. Now, a funny fact is that password for services is actually stored in Security Hive, this one, but we cannot access it because we don't have permissions. So can I give myself permissions? Yes, I can, but it's better actually to elevate ourselves by using psexec sid cmd.exe. Here we go. And we are right now local system. So these are the system internal tools by Mark Rusinovich. And this is the moment where we are able to run the tool CQ secrets dumper once again, but this time with the parameter service. Service TENANASRV. Perfect. And then we've got password in a clear text. Is password stored in a clear text in the registry? No, it's not, but it is symmetrically encrypted indirectly by the boot key. So if you got access to the boot key, then you've got access to all of the secrets like this. Scheduled tasks too. What are the other secrets? Well, for example, local systems passwords. So a system account or a local system account has password, and that is actually the same password as computer account because it's the same value. So you are able to get that, and then basically that's the way how you, for example, authenticate to the domain and so on. So this is not a very probable attack though, the one that I'm just mentioning, but it is possible. What else? Well, every computer certificates. So computer store any configuration that is a shared secret through DP API, so things like Wi-Fi passwords and so on. So these are the secrets that are system secrets. What else? Well, here we go. SAM database, it's a system secret because SAM itself, it is encrypted indirectly by the boot key. Inside we've got hashes, of course, MD4s, but the boot key is the one that impacts the possibility to grab the hashes. And TDS.dit on a domain controller. So everything basically relies on the boot key from that perspective. Okay, so when I mean by static passwords, I mean all of the situations where we actually put passwords. So that very important service that we were looking at that I have highlighted in blue right now, that is something that we should definitely have a look at. Now, what are the possibilities for this? Well, first of all, we should one of the things we should do is to run, if possible, group managed service account. Another thing is that this account should not be able to log on interactively, something that we call in the group policy locally, which is not really locally, but it's interactive logon. But we've got also the possibility log on as a service, and that is the only logon type that we should allow over here. Also, this account shouldn't be privileged and should be able to log on only to this computer, which we configure in account properties on a DC. So this is basically the approach. So that's what I mean by attack of the industry, because here we go. We've got a situation from one of the last pen tests. We've got a vulnerable Java app. Through this, we managed to get access to the server. We are local system right now because this was the context this app was running in. Yeah, so that was a vulnerability. We're local system. Now, what are my possibilities to perform the lateral movement? One would be, well, to get the local administrator's passwords hash and then do the pass the hash. But what if someone uses labs? What if the local admin's passwords are randomized? Well, okay, that stops me. But then what I would do, I would go to services and I will verify if there is any account that I can grab the passwords from. And usually these accounts can log on interactively. And I don't have to be privileged for that like later. So it could be just a regular user, but at least I'm going to have access to company's documents maybe, or to someone's department's documents, or perform this activity, send an email and so on. So there's a plenty of things we can do only if we've got this little chunk that could be, for example, password within the service account. Okay, guys, so let's move forward. We've got another one, peeping room and not locking the desktop. Yeah, so this is basically just to mention. So in general, whenever we think about that, question is, can I and what kind of data can I steal? Well, as I was showing at the very beginning, we were able to use this guy and then and then get the data out or impact someone's computer or perform these activities. So that is something to look at. Now, whenever we look at the statistics, by the way, that are related with that, and that is the problem number 3, we've got 90% of people that actually find the pen drive. Well, this one looks, of course, quite ugly, but I have another one with me here, and that looks like this. And that is basically something that we call rubber ducky, and it has like a micro SD card over here. Yeah, so everybody can get it. It's a popular thing. It's like a toy. Yeah, so it's good to have it in general, because you can like learn a little bit how to program it. So if we put the cover on it, 90% people is gonna take it and is gonna stick it in if as well there is a company logo printed. So that's really funny. 60% though is gonna do it still if there is no company logo on it. So this is quite a high number. Of course, question would be, what's the mitigation? One would be to lock USB drives that we don't know, and this is something that you can do within the group policy. But another thing is that that kind of device always has to do something, yes? So basically, what that would be definitely mitigation. But if we have to go somewhere, run something and so on, because at the end, we always have to run something, whether it's going to be PowerShell or some other type of script, so VBS or whatever, then it's always something. So whitelisting is a clear answer and clear a solution to mitigate not only this kind of devices, but also solutions that are coming through emails and so on. And yeah, so I guess I don't need to convince you to this one, because this is definitely a trend that is out there. But the problem is, and that's what I want to say, is that not many customers that we are starting our cooperation with actually have that implemented. And that's why all of these attacks can simply work. Okay, so once we've got things running as a user, yeah, that is basically the case. What are the other things that we are able to perform as a user? And this is something that I would like to show you, because whitelisting is of course one thing, but if I stick the pen drive in, then can I, for example, steal someone's passwords? And answer is yes. Now I'm going to show the most difficult demo within this presentation, so bear with me, because we're going to play with a data protection API. But the reason why I'm putting it on a keynote is because I think everybody should know what I'm going to be talking about from the private even perspective, that if I store password, let's say in Firefox or Chrome, is it actually safe? And answer is depends on many things, as always. So let's have a look, what does this depend on, okay? So we're going to be technically playing with classic data protection API and getting the system's secrets and user secrets. Okay, so what's the setup first? The setup is that data protection API, it's the cryptographic platform that we got in Windows. Okay, so everything we basically play with, crypto related, that's the DP API. I completely don't want to brag about it, but if you have any questions and so on, absolutely let me know, because as far as I know, we are the first and the only team that fully reverse engineered on DP API, including black hat sessions and so on. So we've got over 40 tools about it. So super happy to introduce you to even like deeper stage of it, but we're gonna go absolutely deep over here to explain the situation. So let's see. Within the DP API, when we look at the user's secrets, we've got a possibility to, and let's have a look at the Windows 10 over here, to extract passwords. Yeah, so I'm logged on over here as Freddy Krueger. Okay, so let me show you something first. I'm going to use not our app. This is the Nearsoft app, Chrome Pass. And then basically I started it, and then we've got password. So we are able to always get access to our own passwords. That's clear. So it's also important, because if someone runs stuff as I am running, so someone is attacking Paula and then basically runs stuff under my account, then this person will always be able to get access to my credentials. So we have to remember that too, because it might make sense, of course, to not to store credentials in Chrome and any other places. Outlook maybe. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. We've got a password now. Just to show you, because I am logged on as Freddy, but my password to get access to the Freddy's account is password p@ssw0rd. Okay, enter, and then under this condition, I'm able to read that password. Now, what I would like to explain is under what conditions in general we are able to get access to password when we are a local user and when we are a domain user. Okay, so this is basically what we are starting with. Let's give it a try. So I'm gonna wipe the screen right now, and I'm gonna use my finger to paint a picture. Here we go, and let's do it to play a little bit with the DP API. So we got it. First of all, we've got local user, yeah, and on this side we've got domain user. Now, all of these users, they've got some kind of a secret, yeah. So just to be, for the moment, quite obvious, but then let's go deeper. Local user, when local user logs on, of course, we need a username and password, but on the top of the password, we calculate MD4 and we compare with the sum content, and that's how we log on. Now, what happens next is that on the top of the password, we calculate SHA-1. This is easy. And then that SHA-1 encrypts master key. Like what is a master key? Master key is just a key, just a string basically, that encrypts a secret. That master key is stored in our profiles. Okay, so in a profile roaming, and then you've got protect, and basically we've got the SID folder where we are able to get to the key. I will show you this. Now we've got a domain user, and domain user is a little bit more complex, but not too much. And when we've got a username and password, then on the top of the password, we calculate MD4 when we log on. We compare with ntds.did eventually by Kerber's logon. It doesn't really matter right now. And still we use the same MD4 to protect master key, to protect the secret. Now, if you wonder basically why MD4 on the right side for the domain user, why SHA-1 on the left side, let me explain. Local user, it's just the authentication database. So SAM in general, it's local. So if someone manages to get access to the SAM database, this person has access also to your MD4. So if we were relying our secrets on MD4, then we could say that user secrets are dependent on the offline access and also on the password strength. Yes, but not in the case when we would have MD4. So once again, the reason why there is a SHA-1, to say it differently, it's because it is easy to extract hashes from some database. And if someone has MD4, we are not able still to get access to the user's secrets. So first we have to crack it and then calculate SHA-1, and then we are able to get access to the user's secrets. So our secrets are as strong as our password is and as strong as offline access is. Okay, so that's why, because otherwise there will be just one step less, and that one step, it's quite a large step. So for domain user, the reason why it's MD4 is because we never store password hash anywhere for the domain user. We could be thinking now, what about cache credentials? Well, that's what I would like to tell you. There is no such a thing like cache credentials. We don't call them credentials, or we shouldn't call them credentials because they are not credentials. This is something that we call logon data. They are not credentials because we cannot log on with them. We cannot use them for anything. We can just compare with them. So we're going to get there, but basically, that's why that solution is considered safe. Now, to make it a little bit more complex, but we are done almost with this, we've got MK1 over here. Now, what about MK2? Is there MK2? There is. And MK2 is here, and MK2 is actually the same as MK1, but this time it's not encrypted with MD4 of the user's passwords, but it's encrypted by public key of the domain. So where is the private key? The private key is over here within the domain controller. Now, the problem with this solution is that the public key that encrypts everybody's master keys in a domain. It's the only one per whole domain. Whole domain. So you got one key that encrypts every person's in the organization's secret at once. And that is horrible because it means that whoever has a private key, then this person is able to read everybody's secrets. Is that true? Well, let's find out. So what we're going to do over here, let's give it a try. We've got a user password visible. Yeah. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I would like to restart that computer. We're going to do it offline, by the way. We can do it online and offline. I'm going to do it offline because it's more linear. It's easier to go step by step to explain of what's going on. And what we're going to do, we're going to change over here cache logon data. Okay, make it offline so that we are able to log on with a different password. And then we're going to learn if it's possible by having that illegally changed password to still read users' data. Okay, so let's go next. Repair your computer. We're going to definitely repair it over here. And then I'm going to go to the D, CQ tools. Here we go, Kiwi Secure Edition. And this is Mimikatz our edition, so secure edition, and we are basically we rolled that module, the particular module. So LSA dump cache, and then we go to the D Windows System32 config, and then system, because this is where the boot key is, and then another path is D Windows System32 config security/QE, because cache logon data is actually in security. So we are overriding it with our predefined value. Why we are doing this? So that I want to show you that our secrets depend on the password. So if I'm going to be logging on with a different password, then that shouldn't work out, right? Okay, anyway, let's see. So this is done. Continue. We are not connected to the domain right now, we are offline. But in the meantime, I would like to use this opportunity to explain one thing. Cache logons, so cache logon data, basically, this is basically how it looks like. It's in the registry in Security Hive. Now, when we look at the Security Hive, I'm going to be back to this, but first have a look over here. They look like this. So this is just entries. I mean, not very romantic. It's just entries. By default, it's 10. You can change it. If you change it to 15, you're just going to have 5 keys more over here. And they are stored over here. And these values, they are basically this one. They look like this. It's just a mess. But what is this mess about? Well, this is actually Microsoft's implementation of the PBKDF2 function, and MSDCC2. It's the name of the cache logon data. Now, let me explain in my own words, if you don't mind, what that actually is. Yeah. So the function PBKDF2 that we have over here in the left bottom blue area, PBKDF2. It's a function, of course, and it takes a bunch of parameters. Yeah. So over here, hmax1, that's like a random value, username. It's just a username, of course, obviously 10,240 iterations on 16 blocks. Now, funny fact about that is that DCC1, it is actually MD4. So let's get there. MD4 on the top of username joined with MD4 of the user's password, so simply hash, yeah? So this has been stored in Windows XP, and that's what we've been calling also cache credentials, kind of. And this is when we were learning that cache credentials or cache logon data, I really don't like to say cache credentials, cache logon data is actually crackable. Well, yeah, it's still difficult because we've got 2 dimensions. Yes, a username and a password hash joined, and then on the top of that we've got MD4. So it's we have to have a rainbow table for that. But if we take that value and if we put it to another function, then we've got blah 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 as a output. How can you revert that? Or even how can we crack it with the rainbow table? It is very difficult. Of course we can do it, we can brute force it, but it's such a huge amount of work. That's why cache logon data are considered safe. So just a side note. Anyway, once we are here, we would like to log on with the password Bing, like this. Nope, it doesn't work because we have overwritten it. Yep, with the password mimickets. Okay, so we're logging on. This is a domain user, by the way. And of course, question is, can I get access to users' secrets? What do you think, guys? Yeah. If we get into the tools, let's see, Chrome Pass, it takes a while. And answer is, we can't. Yes, because even by our explanation, we cannot get access to it, but we still have master key too. So let's see basically how, by having this private key of the domain, we're able to get access to everybody's secrets. See, password is empty. Now, here's the thing. First of all, we need to learn what kind of master key we are working on, okay? So let's find out. To me, by the way, this is one of my favorite tools actually. So let me just go to CQ tools, DP API. Oh, this is this one, CQ DP API blob searcher. I love that tool, by the way, because we wrote it to learn even for ourselves where eventually we could store secrets in our private computers. So here we go. We're going to use the D parameter for the directory, and that directory is C users, and then basically we're gonna go to Freddy, we're gonna go to app data, and we're gonna go to Google. So this is local, Google, and then Chrome, perfect, recursive search, output folder, CQ tools, and then we stream the output into dptxt. So that's it. It's like 20-second search maybe in a single folder. If you decide to run it on the full C drive, for example, then it's gonna take around 20 minutes maybe. Here we go, dptxt. And here we see that, we've got some secrets stored in Google Chrome. And this is actually protected by master key GUID, which has an ID of B55. Fantastic. By the way, Google Chrome as well uses SHA-1 and triple DES underneath. Okay, so we move forward, and then we get that key. So it is %appdata%. We've got appdata roaming this time. We go to Microsoft, protect, SID in order to get the master key. And we search for B55. And we found it. It's this one actually here, B55. So I'm going to do shift right click, copy as path, and I'm going to put that into the tool. So it looks like this. So we've got over here CQ. First of all, hash calc. So what we're going to do, we're going to decrypt that master key with the private key from the domain and encrypt it back with our current passwords hash. So my current passwords hash, it's not known yet. So I'm going to calculate it. So mimikatz, it's this one. And the private key, I don't have it yet, but that's okay. I'm going to grab it in a second. But let me construct the command first. So we've got a CQ master key AD this time. So this is another tool over here, but very useful. There is no other tool that exists like this in the internet. So I couldn't even use anything else. So here we go. We're going to do over here, file, and we're going to put the path to the master key. We're going to specify new hash. And that's the new hash that we are setting up over here. And now the private key from the domain. I got it over here. So I'm going to use it, pfx. But first, let me show you before I press enter, how did I grab that? So I'm going to get into the domain. And within the domain, let's go maybe over here. I'm going to get into the setup where I'm going to just simply get the key out. So we've got a CQ CQ Elsa's CQ Elsa secrets dumper. So this is a very simple tool. Now, funny fact, it looks super simple because if I do file, then basically I just specify exported pfx and press enter, and then it already gets the private key from the domain. So it looks like we're doing nothing over here. But that tool actually consists of over 40 other different tools. So this is basically what took 2 years for research. So it was quite a adventure. But if we get into exported pfx, I don't need to import it, but I want to show you something. So secure will be the password. Next, next, next. Okay. Cert MGR MSc. This certificate, and that's what you guys totally need to know, it looks like this. So it's valid only for 1 year. Everybody, each of you, if you have domain, you have that certificate, right? So this is the thing. You got this. Now, can you renew it? No. Can you like rise the functional level and do something? No. Can you like, no. Whatever you ask, so I'm sorry to put it this way, but answer would be no, unless really you set up a new domain and that's it. There is nothing you can do about it. But if we go to details, we've got SHA-1, it's 2048 and so on. What happens if this guy leaks? Well, it's a big problem because you cannot reset it as a password of CQUREACademy account, which we should do twice per day, twice at the same time, every 24 hours maybe, to avoid any ticket-related activities. But this one, it's there. If it leaks, it's a problem. And then you have to set up a new domain if you want to get rid of it completely, or implement completely whitelisting and nice monitoring about what's going on in the infrastructure. So there's like the privacy of the infrastructure is completely violated. Let's see what we can do and if it's true. So here we go. We are on the client computer. So this was this guy. I'm going to press enter over here to decrypt that master key and encrypt it, decrypt it with the private key and encrypt it with the password hash. What happened? There is a new key that appeared, AD modified. So I'm going to take this guy out, name it good maybe, and not this one. Take this. Yeah, this one's going to be good. And once again, here we go. And this one would be the proper one. Like this, enter. Yes. And the last part, it's to give it an attribute of a system and hidden. So we've got enter, boom, and then we refresh this, and we've got a password visible in clear text. So this is basically how we are able to impact the privacy of every single user within the organization. Now, question is, of course, what can we do about it? And answer is very straightforward. Application whitelisting and detailed monitoring of what executes in our network. Phishing, just to mention, because this is basically attack of the industry, same answer to this one from the whitelisting perspective. Another thing is the possibility to perform the offline access to the device because it's lost. And that is another thing that we've been mentioning over here. You are able to extract system secrets from the, for example, service accounts and so on. Of course, not to mention the user's data, but sometimes we're able to find components of the infrastructures over there. Wi-Fi, that is in general, right now when we are especially sitting at home, there's lots of challenges related with the remote work, where we are able to get access to someone's home Wi-Fi. So that's why VPN connection to the organization is something totally possible. And to be a little bit too social, when, for example, we get that phishing email that I was mentioning at the very beginning from our colleague, we don't analyze it too much. Yeah, so this is in general the statement, of course, to make sure that that kind of situation can happen also to our employees. So
Paula,
when we...
I'm really sorry. We are running out of time. So we will need to finish it soon. If you could wrap up this session, we could refer you to all panelists, all attendees to your social media, and maybe to our booth for more questions. And we would like to thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. So thank you. Wrapping up, this is the last slide, of course. And we've got best of breed cybersecurity framework. So things that we should take into consideration while thinking about cybersecurity in our organization. And this is what I would like to sum up with, because that shows us the spheres, the areas where basically we've got to focus on while implementing cybersecurity. So something that I believe you guys might find useful. And we've got 11 cyber security questions to ask yourself as a little bit of a homework. Even though we've got a keynote, there is still something to think about. So thank you so much for listening. Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you for invitation. If you would like to, of course, get more information about different tools and download the tools in general, you are able to find them in our blog. And this is a CQUREAcademy.com/blog, where, of course, all of the tools and resources and so on are placed. So once again, thank you so much. Stay healthy and hopefully see you online or live, who knows, next time.